the nomination is the party. That's the party, right? Like that's
Yeah.
the fun part.
100%. This is the fun part right now.
You are living the fullest amount of party. It's all downhill from here for all of us, right?
Yeah. Unless you win, and if you win, who cares about the others? Because you've won.
Sorry, suckers. Well, hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us for this Awardist Roundtable. I promise you it is going to be a really special one. I'm Entertainment Weekly Executive Editor Gerrad Hall, and joining me are 5 Saturday Night Live alums, one of whom just joined those ranks. They're all Emmy nominees this year, so please let's welcome them now. Kate McKinnon, Seth Meyers, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph, and Martin Short. Hello to all of you.
Hello.
Wow.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
What a joy to see all these faces.
Maya and Marty, I mean, obviously you two had your show together, which I loved so much. Did you prepare like an opening number?
Thank you, Gerrad.
We're not married
yet, and I'm not your father.
I don't teach you yoga.
Why would you bother?
So why do we do this together?
Who are we to whom? We're just showbiz friends who love wigs and money and singing and do.
I loved it. Did you two prepare like an opening number for this?
For this?
Yeah, we did.
Maya did, and she was going to start it, and I was supposed to join her.
Oh, got it. That show was such a gosh darn delight, and I'm sorry it's still not on, but I'm glad you two are obviously here. Do you remember the first person who like really made you laugh and feel the power of comedy? Who was that for each of you?
Wow.
Wow.
I just was remembering that my dad would always show us Mel Brooks movies. So it wasn't one person, but I definitely circled around Gene Wilder and Madeline Kahn a lot. Like I realized, there's the same people in this movie, and then they're in that movie, and they're also in that movie. And then Marty Feldman's in that one, and he's in that one. So it was like a collective, these are funny people, and you should be laughing among all the booby jokes and all the fun.
Yeah, I think if everybody was honest about the first person who made them laugh, it would all be pretty embarrassing. Because like I got 4-year-olds that are laughing at idiotic stuff.
Yeah,
exactly.
I do think the first time I really appreciated writing that made me laugh. We used to stay up and watch Monty Python on PBS with my parents, and I didn't get all of it, but this really silly stuff like Ministry of Silly Walks was a thing that as a kid I both appreciated as like physical comedy and also that it was written and that somebody had come up with it, which I appreciated.
I think for me it was Jackie Gleason, because my father loved the Honeymooners. And so, if your parents watched something, you watched it, And I thought he was hilarious, especially when he was threatening to punch his wife. That was great.
Right in the kisser?
In the kisser.
They edited that out of the new ones, and they're very short.
Very short.
They're like 3-minute episodes.
I was going to say Benny Hill. As I was a young kid and that was on TV, and I used to be like, that is so dirty and crazy.
Yeah.
And like Seth, my mom watched a lot of comedy, and Carol Burnett and who did you mention again, Seth?
Monty Python.
I mentioned Monty Python.
Yeah, that group. Carol Burnett and Monty Python were the ones.
Well, now you're just copying people. What about the Honeymooners, Amy?
Did anyone say Jackie Gleason yet?
Now it's going to be such a letdown, but definitely we watched The Producers in our house.
Well, I bet it's
once
gonna be
a week.
Good. Just try it.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Don't interrupt.
We watched The Producers once a week, okay?
Yeah.
And I would quote it in church, not sure what it meant. And everyone was scared of me, okay? But the thing that made me laugh the most actually was that, Marty, do you remember the thing you did with Christopher Guest, the synchronized swimming thing on SNL?
Yes.
That was like
I do. And Harry Shearer.
The funniest thing I had ever seen.
The funny.
And that got me into SNL and Christopher Guest.
Harry and I wrote the script, but in Chris's section, we just said, Chris will improvise. That's all we wrote. And he just made it up. Every take was different. He's a genius.
Okay, I want to run through each of the things that you guys are nominated here for quickly. Kate, I'll start with you. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series. You have won this category twice, 9 previous nominations for Supporting Actress and Music and Lyrics, by the way, for one of the funniest songs ever on SNL, Twin Bed. The episode that you have submitted is the season finale, which just so happens to be your final one. What were those immediate moments like for you? Like right after you said live from New York and it cut to the opening credits, like what were the next 2-3 minutes like for you?
Oh, I mean, I'm sad. I was sad. I'm still sad, and I'm also proud and happy, and it was just overwhelming. I couldn't believe that it was actually like, I still remember when I was 12 watching SNL and being like, oh my God, I want to be on it so bad. And then to be saying goodbye to it after 10 years was so surreal. It was so overwhelming.
You still had the gray adult pigtails sketch to do, the women's commercial, which was also so wildly funny at the end of that one. Oh wait, Maya, you were at that episode, weren't you? Because it was Natasha Lyonne hosted. You were there for her opening monologue. Like, what was that like being there that night with so many people saying goodbye? It
was pretty wild. I didn't know that I was walking into that because I didn't know who was leaving until we got there, and it felt very. It was nice to know what that experience is like and understand that everyone is going through that for themselves and give them that space. Just it felt like we were walking into something very delicate, and I wanted everybody to be able to have their moment, and it's always different. It's fascinating. That place, there's really no like rhyme or reason. There's no rule really to like when people exit, so everyone's exits are different. And over the years, and I always find that really fascinating, and I thought this was very it was very touching. This is a cast that had gone through doing a remote show, and that had never been done on that show before. So I think it's a very interesting time in life anyway. And then you're leaving something that you've been at for, at least 10 years or something. It's a huge chunk of your life. So I was just being very, I just felt like I was a spectator watching something very important and very moving.
I talked to some people who were there that night, Maya, and they said you pulled a lot of focus and you made it about you.
I heard that too. Yeah, I heard that too.
I heard that too.
That's my go-to. Right, Amy? That's my go-to.
I can picture you with like a long robe and a staff, just leading people to the other side of the bridge. You're just saying to Kate, come to the other side. Yeah. We're all here. Look at us. We get nominated for Emmys. Come.
I just want them to know that the water's warm, I mean, that's why I'm here.
Come over to the other side.
In preparing to leave SNL, okay, I spoke to a bunch of alumni, and that made it really nice because I knew that I was joining the most esteemed group in history, basically. And so I feel actually great about it, and I feel even better about it sitting here seeing my heroes, and it's just an amazing thing to be a part of. Okay?
And now we get to look forward to you coming back to host one day soon, which, by the way, Maya has done and has an Emmy for it. This year specifically nominated for Outstanding Character Voiceover Performance for Big Mouth. You have won this category twice before for Big Mouth. As I mentioned, you have, now 2 others for your guest turns on SNL. Here's what I wonder, since you're nominated for Big Mouth, what does Connie the Hormone Monstrous think of award shows?
Well, since she's a fictional character, no, I'm just kidding. I'm going to give you the real one.
You're very beautiful.
I know.
Why do you smell so good?
Because I don't use deodorant and I only take bubble baths.
Very aroused. I think she's probably quite aroused. Yeah, she gets aroused. It's a funny thing, answering for an animated, horny character. I have nothing in common with. I am trying so hard.
Come on, Maya. We'll tell you what you guys have in common.
We're both very hairy.
I will say, I think everybody who worked with Maya knew the level of voice actor she was, so this came as no surprise. Maya, will you just, for everyone, say how Glenda Goodwin pronounced Hyundai?
Well, Glenda Goodwin was a wonderful attorney at law character, a very short-lived character I did, but she drove a Hyundai.
That's right.
Maya is an actual genius, and I've said this many times, but it's true. When I was doing the show with her, or any sketch I've ever done with her, there's 25 kids in the dressing room, all screaming and shouting. She walks on the set, she looks at the thing, and does it perfectly, and the perfect choice every time. She and Keenan both are perfect.
Yes.
I need direction.
No, I don't.
I like to save it for the car ride home. That's where I shine.
Yeah. Just the right amount of booze and reflection.
By the way, this is true that
I
Marty
should have done it this way. Yeah.
Marty came back and hosted. It was one of my favorite weeks. But often Marty would ask you how you wanted him to do it. And every single time, all I ever wanted to say was, like Marty showing.
Back in my day, universities weren't offering classes on Harry Styles' poppycock. Back in my day, if you wanted to take a class on Harry Styles, you had to accidentally call One Direction, One Dimension in front of your niece. And then, by God, she would give you an education.
Late Night with Seth Meyers, nominated for Outstanding Variety Talk Series, as well as Late Night with Seth Meyers Corrections, nominated for Outstanding Short Form Comedy, Drama, or Variety Series. You personally have 27 prior nominations. Most of them are for Late Night SNL or Documentary Now, and you also have one for original music and lyrics for Justin Timberlake's opening monologue song. But specific to Late Night, this is the first time it's received the big nomination. Does this one feel different?
It does. It's so nice to get it for the whole show because that's everybody else who works there. And there's so many people for whom this is their first Emmy nomination. And it's a very nice thing for us all to get to share. I will say the years we got nominated for writing, that meant so much to me too. And mostly because I just value the writing on the show so much. So it was always weird when people would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry you got snubbed," because we never really felt like we did. But now that we got it, I realized, oh yeah, this is a lot nicer. This is a great feeling.
The nomination is the party. That's the party, right? That's the fun part.
100%. This is the fun part right now.
You are living the fullest amount of party. It's all downhill from here for all of us, right?
Yeah. Unless you win, and if you win, who cares about the others? Because you've won.
Sorry, suckers. Yeah.
Isn't it true, Marty, that since you're already an Emmy winner, isn't it true that during the
couple of times,
recent LA fires, you removed your Emmys from the house in case the house burned?
I took all my Emmys and threw them in a car. No, my son did it actually without asking me.
Oh,
I said I can replace those Emmys, but he did.
That's very sweet.
This is by the way, a good story.
Marty, are you sure he didn't sell those Emmys? I mean, have you seen them since?
Well, I haven't seen them since. Absolutely.
Did they say your name on them?
Yeah.
That's a good point, Maya.
Why were they in his car?
Well, because there was a fire in the neighborhood. So
but you caught him. You caught him with the Emmys in his car. Did you ever see the fire he told you about?
Was there a fire?
There was no fire. There was never a fire. I found that out too. My son is not well. Okay. And by the way, he was wise enough to also grab the Tony.
This is Marty. Marty is just telling a story. This sounds like he's award dropping, but
Nope.
this is
No.
important to the story.
He's just
It
telling
is
the
just
story.
part of the story. But I mean, you're going to have a fire and leave your Emmys and your Writers Guild Award? I don't think so.
You consent to being recorded? Just say anything to agree.
No, please.
Thanks, perfect.
Sir McKinnon doing this.
We're gonna cut. I like the emotion. Keep that. I kind of need you to enunciate better. Do you have anything?
The crying is covering the dialogue.
Oh, that's a good note. Okay, when you're ready, and action.
Marty, this year you were nominated. You have 2 nominations: Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy Series and as a producer for comedy series, both for Only Murders in the Building. Your first
correct.
win, I do believe, was 1983. That was for writing in a variety or music program for SCTV.
SCTV.
You have another for. Yeah, you have another for the variety special, the Mel Brooks AFI tribute. But specifically speaking to Only Murders, what has this role, the success and recognition of this series meant to you?
Oh, it's delightful because normally, things don't work out like you'd hope. But this has been, we love doing the show, and it's also a great hang. The actors are great. We have Nathan Lane, Steve, we have Selena, we have Jane Lynch. I mean, it's just endless. Amy Ryan.
And some really great stuff you've even had in season 2 as well, dealing with your own son and paternity. It's been so good. Season 2 has just been a gosh darn delight.
Thank you.
Congrats on that. Yeah. Okay, do you really think, quick tangent, do you really think Steve Martin is going to retire after this?
No, he's not retiring. In fact, he was just being facetious. They said, "Are you thinking of retiring?" He said, "Well, I have my 12th book. I'm on a TV series, and I tour around with Marty Short. So if this is retirement, I guess I've retired." That's what he meant. He's not retiring.
Makes a whole lot of sense. Okay.
He should.
All right.
He should. Don't get me wrong, but he's not.
Wait, Marty, I have a
hang up the
question.
hat.
Marty, so in 1983, when you guys won, were you all at the Emmys together when SCTV won? And was
Yes,
it
in
very
fact,
exciting?
it was very exciting, and we were
And
nominated for.
Marty, were you on roller skates?
Yes, I was, and I'll tell you why. No, but we were nominated for every. We knew we were going to win because we had every nomination of the 5
in the
writing.
category, right?
I was like, without the official title, I was kind of like head writer.
Where did they hold the Emmys in 1983?
It was not. It was a kind of a tent on the beach. It was beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, like the Spirit Awards. Okay, sounds fun.
Yeah. No, it wasn't. It was at the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion.
I'm Amy Poehler, and I'm in this wood shop surrounded by what I believe are called tools.
And I'm Nick Offerman. I use tools like these to make a paddle for my canoe, which I also made.
You know, Nick, there are people like you all over this country who can make incredible things with their hands.
That's true.
But I, sadly, am not one of those people.
I did know that, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Amy, big overachiever, 3 nominations this year. Outstanding host for a reality or competition series, along with Nick Offerman for Making It, and for outstanding documentary or nonfiction special, and for directing that documentary and nonfiction program, Lucy and Desi. You have 22 previous nominations, most of those SNL, Parks and Rec, or the Golden Globes, and 1 win for guest hosting SNL. Here's what I wonder. How would Lucille Ball do on Making It?
Weird. That's a weird question. I don't like it. I'm not saying I like it. One of the best things about working on this was, during a worldwide pandemic, I got to watch old Lucy and Desi episodes and work with an editor and just stay very insular and just do a lot of homework, which is what a documentary is. It's just tons and tons and tons of homework and research. And so getting to be around her and Desi all the time was a huge, mood booster for me to get through what was a very lonely and isolating time for most people. So I just grew to really love her. So I could kind of picture her soldiering on wherever she was. So to answer your question, I think she was a maker. I think she was a doer. I think her love language was acts of service. So I think she really respected people who made things and did things and got things done. So I think she would she would like all those people.
What is the character sketch segment you were part of on SNL that you think should be like top of your highlight reel?
We can't answer this question. This is too
Here,
fun.
I'm gonna answer for Marty.
For each other. You can't say what is your
Yeah,
number.
yeah. Okay, now I'll say
that.
let me say one for Amy.
Yes.
That you wouldn't think this. I loved the sketch. It was right after the second inaugural George W. and you played the Bush twins in a bedroom. And the premise was, Laura, are you awake? Yes. Do you think Dad's very smart? Barbara, it's 3 a.m. We're whispering. We're sitting. It was just hilarious.
I believe that was a Tina Fey special, and happy to be a part of it. And they had their own twin language, which was a lot of fun.
That's right.
I think of an Amy sketch that didn't even air, and I don't think you wrote it. You remember King of the Beach, Amy?
Do I?
Somebody wrote a sketch where you had like big muscles, and I think of it because it's the summer and I go to the beach, and you basically your line was, "I'm king of the beach," and you just.
That's right.
It did not. It literally died at the table, but it is the way you said it made me laugh so hard that I think it 5 times a week.
Steve Martin always brings up a sketch that was cut at Dress of you and he as 2 drunks trying to get a bank loan.
Yeah.
And he's so
It's
mad
funny on the idea.
because another sketch aired that Steve really didn't like, which was
Oh, really?
where he played a surfer. Yeah, you can ask him about that. I was in it.
Okay.
And Steve wasn't wrong.
Was that the thing where you guys would fake that you were like wine connoisseurs, but you really, that's one of my favorite things you and Parnell did, where you were like asking a lot of questions about the wine.
Parnell had a line where he was like, I sense a hint of swordplay.
Swordplay, yeah.
I can smell swordplay in the wine.
I recently watched the Key Party sketch that you guys were, that you, Amy and Seth, you guys were in.
Yeah, Maya, you weren't in that? Oh, it feels like you were in that, Maya.
I was in it, but I was going to say those are my favorite memories. This like a sketch where everybody's in it and everyone has one line and it's so goofy. That's where all the fun is.
In college, we had a VHS tape that had Jackie Rogers Jr. on it, Marty.
Oh, really?
Which was a sketch that pre-YouTube, it was never on a best of that I know. That was an era that never reran. And so to have that, you had to have like a physical copy of it. But that was one of my favorites. And much like Key Party, a great sketch because it had a sort of almost a full cast sketch, which I think those are so delightful to watch. When
was that
everybody has a
Jackie
little
Rogers? Was Billy Crystal and Chris in it too?
Yeah.
Was that Chocolate Babies?
Chocolate Babies,
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you are at the show, there's also something so wonderful about watching sketches that die and bomb. And we used to be able to go on the server, which I'm sure now doesn't exist, and it's part of some robot that hands you a pill that you take to watch sketches now. But and we used to just search on the server for all the sketches that we all did that died in Dress, and just laugh so hard at how bad they were.
Yeah. And seeing, because when you go back and watch, you can watch yourself realize it's over. You know, the fight goes out of your eyes. There's no saving it.
In terms of favorite things, I can no longer say the name Jeff. I can only say Jarf. And that has confused some Jeffs in my life.
Are you talking about the Noonies? Oh,
yes, the Noonies.
I thought I was like waiting for someone to say Jarf. Oh, Jarf. The Noonies was a wonderful fun thing to write, where we would just try to figure out how to make Rachel Dratch sit in an uncomfortable chair facing the wall. Every sketch, every single sketch.
That was that a lot of people don't remember, but that was my before update. That sketch had my recurring character, which was white man who is frustrated by how things are going.
You guys are here. You're Emmy nominees. You've done such great work over the years. I'm wondering if there though is like a worst audition you had, but more importantly than just how bad the audition was, like what did you learn from that experience?
I remember once going in, getting a call back, maybe going to network for a pilot, and it didn't didn't get it, and I asked my manager. This is before SNL. I asked my manager, "Can you follow up and get any feedback?" And my manager called me and said, "Yeah, they just said you were bad." And the lesson I learned was not to engage with that manager anymore.
No. I once went to a commercial audition where everyone looked like me, so I thought it would be funny on my 8x10 that I had to send in advance of me going in to draw a mustache and goatee on the picture. And then before I went in, I went into the bathroom and drew it on my own face. And it bombed. They kind of looked at me and they said, no reaction. "So have you read the copy?" I said, "Yeah, I have." Didn't get it. So I learned not to do shtick when you send your picture in advance.
Mm.
And that's given me 15 nominations, that kind of lesson.
I once auditioned for some famous directors for a movie, and I was doing so badly in the middle of the audition that I started getting really angry. I mean, at myself, really, but it came across like I was angry at them. So about halfway through the audition, I got a real attitude, and by the end, they thought I was mad at them. So what I learned was that when I'm stressed or anxious, I tend to seem like I'm mad or angry, and it can be confusing enough that you can escape a situation. And I try not to do that anymore.
I famously had an audition for SNL that I've told this story so many times, but it's really confounding to me that I listened. But I had a manager who said, "Don't go to the SNL audition," and I didn't go because I was an impressionable young person, and I didn't audition for SNL. It's just like, it makes no sense. It's the dumbest advice anyone could ever give.
What was the advice based on?
What?
What was it based on? Like, why would someone say that?
That the contracts were new or something. I don't know. It was the year that Dratch actually was hired, so maybe it was fate. Maybe they couldn't have two Dratches. I don't know. I went the next year.
I once did stand up, and there was like a scout from the now defunct Aspen Comedy Festival there, and it was like my third time doing stand up, and they were like, "Give us 5," and I was like, okay. So I did my material as planned, and then 2.5 minutes later, I had run out of material, and that was it. So I said, "Okay, goodbye, thank you." And then there was like a private consult with this woman afterwards, and she was like, "You didn't give me enough to evaluate what you're doing, but I didn't like what I saw." And then what I learned from that was that you can always weep in a Starbucks bathroom because it's a single stall.
There's like rumor speculation. People are saying like maybe season 50 will be it. Should SNL end with season 50 or someone else take over?
I think much like Steve Martin, Lorne Michaels is not going to retire. That's my personal take.
I think it should definitely continue, always continue. It's like Second City. It's a brilliant format to develop writers and performers, and I would like to think it goes on for 100 years.
I agree. I think it's hard to imagine it without Lorne, I will say. I hope it goes on.
Absolutely.
It's a very hard thing to imagine.
That's the part that's hard to imagine, but I can't imagine life without it, yeah.
Whenever I find myself in another country talking about SNL, everyone is always like, "Oh, I wish we had that here." It serves such a vital function in our culture and in our democracy and politically that it's impossible to think that of America without it. I think it's like such an important release valve and way of reflecting on ourselves, and so it must go on.
I felt that way when you guys were doing the remote shows during quarantine, how much it really meant to see that show was on and was continuing. That was very buoying and uplifting to know that it's going to be there. There's sort of the last unjaded element of popular culture in that way that like you can't criticize it yet because it hasn't been on yet, you know, or it's live. It's special.
thank you so much to all of you. I hope you had some fun here as well. Congrats on all of your Emmy nominations this year, and best of luck. We'll see you in September.
Thank you. I think we all
Thank you very
won
much.
today.
We all won from spending time together.